Moo and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pink Tron. I am Brent Robinson, and I am joined today by Chris Greenland. Chris, what are you drinking?
I just got off the slopes of Innsbruck, so I am cracking the first of what will be two recovery Miller Lights.
Excellent. Well earned always if you're in Austria. Also joined by John Keenan. John, what are you drinking?
I'm transitioning into what I suspect will be a hot cocoa on the next one, but this is an organic protein shake, creamy chocolate flavored.
What kind of
This is
mushrooms are in that one?
Yeah, we were right out of mushroom based beverages. I was a little disappointed. I didn't have anything stranger.
it's like it's hot cocoa weather where you are? Like even here in the
No,
frozen
this is
tundra of
this
Alberta.
is cold. This is cold, but
Okay, okay.
yeah.
All right. And we also have Steph Etienne. Maybe Steph's gonna say it's always hot cocoa weather in Belgium too. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Not really. At the moment, not now. It's up in the 20s. I'm having Sprite.
Sprite. Very nice. And I have a cherry vanilla flavored sparkling water, which is generic store brand for Dr. Pepper flavored sparkling water. It's actually quite good. I quite enjoy it.
Wait. Say all those words again.
It's cherry vanilla flavored sparkling water, but it's
Yeah.
basically like a Dr. Pepper flavored sparkling water.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I think I would enjoy that.
Yeah,
I,
it's
ne I
really good.
never thought of Dr. Pepper as cherry, but I guess it sort of is.
It's like they had that end campaign before where it's like 128 flavors in Dr. Pepper, and it's like every conceivable flavor can be
Found in
uh,
there.
in Dr. Pepper. So I
Hmm.
guess those are two of them.
Yeah, apparently two of the. Did you know that also this is something I learned today that blew, or maybe not today, maybe it was the other day. Anyway, blew my mind. This is what we're gonna do now on the Pink Tron. You
Yeah.
cannot taste vanilla. Vanilla is flavorless. It's solely the smell of vanilla that leads your
Mm.
taste buds to thinking you're tasting vanilla. So when you eat like if you just like eat like a vanilla bean, if you can like take all the smell out, you like it doesn't taste like anything. It but if you smell it and whatever you put the vanilla smell to will taste like vanilla to you.
Well, that makes sense. So
Okay.
much of what we think of as taste is really smell. I lost my sense of smell for like 15 years. And yeah, the only things you can taste are salt, sweet, bitter, sour.
Yeah.
And mushroom.
And well, there's always umami. Yeah.
Hmm.
I remember we were in the car and that's what Lindy, my wife, had on for Gretchen, is it Gretchen Wiener or whatever? Her new book about like the five senses and she was talking about taste.
Mm,
Anyway,
there isn't much to it.
you learn something new every day, especially when you listen to the Pink Drawn. And speaking of things you can learn to upgrade when you're doing a 20-minute or so climb up Innsbruck as part of the Herd Summer Racing League. Because we are on the Innsbruck short course this week. I guess Chris and John just finished racing it. How did it go for you guys?
I upgraded my FTP by 3 watts. So
Yeah, see, there's something
Nice.
yeah,
new.
yeah, learn. Get stronger every day. It was a
Hey,
lonely race after that part. That was sort of the last time I really saw many people. But yeah, it's a fun race.
Does I feel like I haven't seen a FTP increase in a while. Does Zwift still alert you in game when you end your ride? It says
When you
click.
end the ride, yeah, that's when I
It
got it.
does.
Yeah, yeah, when you close out.
sadly, I
Yeah.
have also not seen that since I was an A, because I have
Yeah.
not been an A since.
I'm glad it doesn't let you know when your FTP is decreased because that would be
Uh,
demotivating, and I'd see
Yeah.
that quite a bit.
yeah, I'm tempted actually to kind of maybe reset my FTP just to like motivate to bring it back up again. But anyway,
Hmm.
yeah, how about in the Bs? Was there any grouping in the Bs or was it just all ones and twos out there, Chris?
Well, there was a group. We left the pen together, and then when it started to go uphill, that's when I waved goodbye to the group. So I got upgraded. Like I was saying, I think it was part of like stage one of the chasing tour for chasing pink, bumped me back into a Zwift B. So I had to start this race as a B. I think there were only 8 Bs to begin with, and 6 of them went up the road as soon as it went uphill. So All of it was academic anyway, because my heart rate monitor wouldn't pair. So I just rode this for funsies. Not in the final standings, but yeah, I did all I could. I did a bike swap at the top and went to full aero just to try to catch some bodies on the descent or on the flat to have some company. And got a little bit of a tow from, I caught up to 2Cs on the flats after the downhill, but it was pretty
Over
lonely out there.
over an hour to finish, eh? Oh, that's got to include the 10 minutes in the pen though. So it's more like 40 some odd.
I don't know if it includes the time in the pen, does it?
Because D's go out first, so they don't
Yeah.
count. But like I'm seeing like A's
yeah,
taking like 57 minutes. Like that's
the time on Zwift Power is the first one that finishes, so it counts. But I think it counts it. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a bit weird. The finishing times can be weird with 5 minute differences.
Yeah, I think that's right. So
Well, there's
yeah,
plenty of opportunity to catch or get caught, but I don't know that there was plenty of opportunity to use it very effectively. I think if you caught somebody near the top of the KOM, you could make up some time on your competitors, but
yeah, tough to really tail gun the leg snap or anything, right? I mean, it's just
yeah.
you and maybe another couple people.
Mhm.
Just gonna look at KOM times maybe. Looks like in the D's, KOM time. Looks like over 31, 31, 32, 33 minutes to finish KOM.
Yeah, seems up there. I think my best so far been a while is 28.5 minutes as a lower-ish C, so with 2.9-ish watts per kilo, so above 30 minutes seems good for a D.
C's are coming in between 23 and 30 minutes with John Keenan, the very creditable sub 26, 25:54. Nicely done, John.
Yeah, it said it was a PR, but that's just a 90-day PR, I think.
Top
No,
time in the B's on the
it's all-time PR.
climb was a low 20:05. Should be a little bit faster than I've ever done it. Chris, you would have had the first two on this two other sprint segments.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. And the A's, somebody rocked it home in 1841, our good friend scorekeeper. And I think they all cleared 20 minutes. Even Paul Evans, that's a really good ride from Paul Evans to clear a 20-minute climb on Innsbruck. Well done, Paul.
I think you said that was a PR he got on Discord.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a heck of a good ride. I've raced with Paul many times. He's up in the A's, so you're gonna race the A's, you're gonna have to put those sub 20s in. Good. Bike, did you guys take Tron or take I guess you could swap if you're all alone at the top, swap into like
Chris was the
Yeah.
bird swapper.
That's what I did. I went climbing just because those like 8 to 10 pitches, I didn't think I was going to be able to stick in. So I just went climbing, and then I had plenty of gap behind me to swap to arrow at the top.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair. I mean, do your own assessment a little bit. If you think you're gonna be able to race with a group, probably Tron.
Yeah.
If you think you're gonna be alone out there, there's probably some margin to take climber and then swap at the top and get into something full slippery.
But then at the end of the day, looking at those numbers, it wouldn't have mattered. Like I could have just gone the whole time and been exactly where I was.
Yeah, but it might have made 0.6 second difference on that sprint to not be on a Tron or a climber, which is how much you beat Scaffardi on in the sprint. So that's what when people like say, oh, it doesn't make that much difference, but in those sprints, like it's tight windows.
I guess I didn't look at that.
So there was 4 seconds between Scafardi and CC between second and third, and I don't think any bike makes up 4 seconds, maybe on Buffalo to like the Venge. So
Oh yeah, pretty tight.
yeah, you beat the next leg scapper guy by 7 minutes, 7 seconds, so that's pretty big gap.
I think
Then there
that's
was
the
only
danger of HSRL, right? You're paying attention to who you're around, and you're not racing like the ghost riders that are behind you that you're not aware of.
Yep.
Mhm.
That's certainly part of the challenge. I see,
Yeah.
see the gap between second and third between Terrio and Scafardi on leg snapper was only 0.3 seconds, which
Yeah, they were racing each other up there and maybe playing a little bit of cat and mouse.
yeah, and leg snapper is a bit of a tricky one to handicap on the bike choice anyway, right? Like it's
Hmm.
fast and short, but it's steep, so I don't know exactly what bike makes up 0.3 seconds on there. Good. Any other tips, thoughts? Steph, you gonna get in this one this weekend at all?
I don't know. I was, like I said, I was planning to do it, but I had to potentially do it tonight, but I had to swap in for one of my ladder teammates who got ill. So I don't know, because I was planning to do, since it's a long weekend here in Belgium, because it was a holiday yesterday. I had to bridge today, and it's good weather to do some more outdoor, longer endurance rides. So see if I can maybe do a race, but who knows?
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm in the I'm finding this is not a complaint, but I am finding my previous ability to do the Euro-ish type schedule for herd events to become increasingly challenging with my more North Americanized schedule. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Good. All right. Well, hope everyone gets out there. Hope we see some PBs and some FTP bumps. As this is what this is basically kind of like the halfway point-ish. I guess last week technically would have been the halfway point for the series. So we're into the back half of the series at this point.
Mm.
And this is probably the biggest climb. So, and it's always good to I will always say that I think the Innsbruck Ford is like the best climb in the game. It's the most sort of steady, pretty, doesn't make me feel like dying type thing.
Yeah, and it's pretty comp. I think I've said this before. It's pretty comparable to the climbs we find around here. Like it's seems the most realistic. Obviously, it is Model F to real life, but this seems that way. It rides that way. I like it.
Agreed. All right, that will bring us to herd beginner racing for this week, which is
Park perimeter loop.
Park Perimeter. Did it start yesterday? Why does it say the 9th? Anyway, Park
Yeah.
Perimeter Loop.
2 laps for the 2 highest categories and 1 lap for the lowest category. That's quite a nice route. Also a quite toughy. With it's never it's all the lower parts in New York, but quite undulating or quite up and down, with Harlem Hill as the biggest climb on there. But yeah, we did that 2 weeks ago for the Herd Club Ladder Championships I organized. We did also 2 laps of Park Perimeter Loop. So
Yeah, I was gonna say for D's in the beginning, like that Harlem Hill climb is probably a real, like it's a pretty real climb, right? I know in the faster group you just kind of smash through it and try and hold on and not get dropped, but like in a D event, it's probably almost 5 minutes to get from the bottom to the top. Maybe not quite that long.
don't think so, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's a pretty substantial lump to get up there. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
if you're racing
about,
this,
if I see it, it's about 600 meters or something like that. So I wouldn't call it 5 minutes, but it's an effort, especially that later part. It gets quite steep, above 10%. So
yeah, exactly.
and then it goes up and down, and then you have the side with its ends on that on a steep pinch, the sprint finish, so quite a
Yep.
tricky finish as well.
Yeah, and I've never mastered that New York finish. I either go too early, go too late. Maybe I'm just not a strong enough cyclist. That's entirely possible as well. But yeah, it is a tricky finish. I would just say don't leave it too late because you'll definitely, it's really, really
Mhm.
hard to catch someone if they're up ahead of you on that hill.
Yeah, I know it too because I was with a guy in the ladder club championships to wait to finish. He started earlier. I tried to sprint it, but I just couldn't get him back in time, in enough the kick enough.
Yep.
I would probably say best all rounder probably with all the if you don't have the Tron, your best all rounder you got.
Agreed.
Yep.
It's net flat.
It's not flat, but yeah, it's but it's still like it says here on the it's 20 kilometers, almost 330 meters of elevation. That's
Yep.
quite substantial, at least for a beginner race or a beginner race. It's quite.
Yeah, you'll find that course quite challenging if you're new to racing. But that being said, it's a really good one to practice having to
Yeah.
press on those climbs and then hold into the group and just try and recover and conserve energy for the rest of it. So um, it's a really good one for learning racing. And that will bring us to, Climber's Gambit, Chris.
Yeah. Stop me if you've heard this one before. This weekend we're doing Innsbruck Forward. Great,
Yeah,
great chance to kind of replicate a double climb here to do a double header between Climbers Gambit and HSRL. So the exact same decisive climb, totally unplanned, but can make for some interesting double headers, I guess. Stats on this, if you're not already aware: 7.4K at an average gradient of 5.4. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've covered it as part of HSRL, but on its own, isolated as a climb, I think bike choice is entirely dependent on your category between more Tronish versus climberish. I think that's all there is to it. Thoughts?
yeah. I mean, yeah, for Bs, to A's, it's almost too short for an FTP test. For Bs and strong Cs, you're right there. D's obviously is a little longer than FTP test. So, but a good 30 minutes steady effort.
But again, it's a great climb. Scenery is nice. Get out there and enjoy it a couple of times this weekend, I guess.
Be a good
Yep.
one to test how the different times of day affect your efforts. I mean, it's not a one-to-one comparison because I think I got a PR on that climb today, but I did have a couple of sections where I had some drafting, so that would throw it off a little. But I've also done, because my schedule didn't work, I've had to do like Climbers Gambit at 7 at night, and I usually just tank those, right? Like those are just my worst performances. It's just too late in the day. I don't have any cortisol in my system. I just want to go to bed, whatever it is.
Do you feel that's usually mostly a mental thing, or do you think it's
Well,
a physical thing, or just a bit of both?
yes, I wonder. Um, who was it who said it's just because it's in your mind doesn't mean it's not real or something?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I've definitely had like for sure those moments, especially I don't know. I think it's usually in the morning where like I know I'm fresh and I'm ready to go, but I'm like, this is
This is nonsense.
yeah. Especially in workouts, I find more like in races, I can usually find something to attach to, like
Hmm.
I can stick in this group or whatever. But if I'm doing a workout and I'm failing a rep and you fail like two in a row, you're like, obviously I'm not feeling very good.
This is
Especially
not the
when
day
your
to do
FTP has
this.
gone down. It's like,
Yeah.
motivation sucks right now. Okay. But my recommendation actually for this course is if you have the Lederhosen kit, you should always wear it in Austria.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's probably the best recommendation we can make.
And IRL.
If you have Lederhosen kit and you go to Austria, you should definitely wear it, and you should
Yeah.
send a picture and put it in the chat.
And put it in the Facebook page. I want to
There
see
was
it.
a guy who rode past me doing Palomar one time when I rode that in Lederhosen bibs and some sort of matching jersey. So it is out there.
Wow.
He was
There you
definitely
go.
rocking it.
That is confidence. That will bring us to the herd of mountain goats, the tour of fire and ice,
Oh.
Ooh,
which is basically up the volcano and then up the Alp. I think.
you don't go up the volcano, you just
I
start
think you go through the
closer to-
Oh,
yeah.
right.
volcano.
Sorry. That's right.
Softening people up for next week for Lorient, I guess.
Yeah. It's just a longer lean in for the Alp, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have that the start of Epic K1 with but then you have the bypass until Jungle Pens and then the Alp. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess that's the kind of the one pacing challenge of this is, yeah, how hard do you do that climb up the start of Epic? Do you bother to push it all to stay with the group?
Is that your warm up?
Yeah, I guess a little like 2 minute effort through there. And then go, yeah, do your, 45 and up minute climb up the Alp for any mortals. I mean, what would your guys' times look like, John and Steph, up the Alp? Like I'm like a low 50s-ish.
I've never been a big fan of the Alp. I don't know.
Me neither, but I've
Yeah.
still climbed it 25 bloody times.
I've maybe done it 3 times. I don't.
I haven't done it. I haven't done it in a while. I think my best is just above an hour, but that was a bandage group ride with the bandits.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think probably it's. But that's I think my best is maybe somewhere an hour 20, but that's months ago. That's somewhere in the last year. I haven't touched the Alp in quite a while.
Never raced it. Not on Zwift Power.
Nah.
Yeah, 22 switchbacks. Woo. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what there is to say about this. I mean, the race will be made on the Alp. Like, there's just anything else you do, it almost certainly
Mhm.
will. The odds of you beating everyone by 3 minutes or something on the whole rest of the race, and then beating them up the Alp by, or them beating you up the Alp by 2 minutes and 30 seconds seems so inconceivably small that it's barely even worth discussing.
Mhm.
I'd say just go whatever makes you feel good to get to the bottom of the Alp, and then have your best Alp.
Yeah.
All right. I think I would just take a climbing bike for the whole thing. I mean, I don't really see the group trying to smash anyone before you get to the bottom of the Alp, and you're definitely going to save. What does a climb bike save in the Alp? Probably like 30 seconds, maybe over like Tron or something like that. Maybe not even that much over Tron. Something like that.
We
It's not
need
as much
Sean
as you
to
might
do the
think.
math for us.
Yeah, well, there's all those Zwift, oh yeah, and of course the Zwift Insider tests are all done on like some riding 4.0 or something, but
Yeah.
um, so yeah, you'd actually save even more time if you're going slower than that. So that's what I do. I just take a climbing bike and get ready for
Yeah.
the Alp.
Yep.
There is cool. You guys all have the Alp jerseys. I like the Alp jerseys. Those like kind of knit little blue ones that say like Alp du Zwift on the back. They're like about a level
I don't know.
60-ish maybe or high 50s, something like that.
Could be. I
Yeah.
haven't noticed it.
I like those kits. They're good. Those are fun to wear on the Alp.
Well, I still need to get to there. I think I'm like I hit level 50 a bit ago, so I have the fire socks now and slowly getting up there.
Nice.
I need to get to whatever level it is to get finally the squirrel hat.
Squirrel
s-
hat's the best.
It's like 72 or something.
Still not there.
Yeah,
Oh.
because I got it too. The thing is about the squirrel hat is I got the squirrel hat, and I was like, yeah, I'm never taking the squirrel hat off again. And then I was doing big spins, and it was in France, and I
The
got the beret, and I'm like, oh, I can't not wear the beret in France. So off came the squirrel hat, and on with the beret. So anyway, the
I
squirrel
still
hat
need to
is
chase
combined
it.
sense.
Still need to chase it as the captain of the squirrels ladder team.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
you guys should all get it just for the name.
Yeah, I was about to say maybe you need to contact a certain person to get it. Well,
Oh, I don't
sometimes
think
it
there's
helps.
anyone who can help you. If it's a level lock, I think it's a level lock.
Yeah, no.
Good, good. All right. That will bring us to the Stampede, which is, I think it's 1 lap of Greater London Flat. Should be about 17 kilometers, give or take. For those who
Has
haven't figured
anyone
it.
decoded the number system?
Yeah, a bunch of people have,
Yeah.
but we won't spoil it for everyone else here. Yeah, so this has the long lead in from London Pens up Northumberland Street. I think that's what it's called. Through the
That's what we've named it, at least.
yeah,
The
sure. That's the
American
fake Zwift
version.
version.
That's now how it's called in Zwift, I think.
Yeah. Oh, it's a little out and back through the Flamme Rouge. And then when you start technically the lap, when you go through the London Classique sprint banner, you go through the mall, down towards Westminster, around the outside bits. And I don't know what the heck that back side of Buckingham Palace is called, but around there, and then finish back at the mall sprint. It's pretty flat. There's a little push up Northumberland Street, a little descent down to the river. There's kind of some 2 and 4% stuff you see as you go in and around the tunnels down by the river.
Yeah, after the tunnel, there's a kicker of about 3-4%, and a bit after that, there's some
Yep.
small bags, but nothing
This is
much.
one you're not crossing the river and doing the.
No.
Right,
Western
yeah, not the subway one, but just when you go like through that, there's those 2 long tunnels that are on those lower portions of London, and they just have some like 2 to 4% stuff that you gotta kind of climb out of.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally stay steady. 17K should be like 24, 25 minutes for the fast Bs, I think. I think Cs will probably be a full, well, not quite a full 30, right? Should be faster than 34 kilometers an hour. So
Yeah.
maybe like 38s, 39s, I would think. So, you'll be getting close to that. Ds might be close to a full 30. And A's will be, I don't think the A's will quite get under 20. I would be surprised if an A could clear like a normal A, like some pro guy who's getting ready for the Giro on here might get sub 20, but if you're kind of
talk about that. Just watched the Giro today. The performance by Tadej on that last climb, gained over a minute back on Cana in like 6 kilometers. That was impressive.
was it the TT today?
Yeah, it was TT.
Wow, he was a minute back and made up a minute on the climb part
Yeah,
of
it
the
was
TT.
47 seconds back on the last intermediate time, with like 6 kilometers to go with the climb, and he won by like 17 seconds, so he gained over a minute.
Yeah.
In
That guy
6K.
had a good pacing plan.
Exactly.
That is impressive. Good. Yeah, fastest TT bike again. Oh, and I'll just say, I'll say it here in case anyone didn't see my Facebook post, but something happened with the race times for this. So, if you're seeing a time that's not for the Stampede, usually don't race it because it may get deleted or it might not count because the WTR results might not pick it up in the final results because that WTRL will only pick up the usual Stampede times, I believe. So I'm not sure exactly what happened in terms of like the dates got shifted around, but there's 13 time slots showing currently here. Last time I checked for the Stampede this weekend, we're supposed to have 6. So a bunch of those are not going to end up being there or whatever. So apologies if you were in a race and ended up getting deleted, but I'm not sure what happened there. I did not ask for 13 race slots for this weekend. And that will bring us to the bullseye, which will be Coast Crusher, which we just
Which
did
we
in ZRL, right?
Just did, yeah. 1 lap.
Yeah,
Eight.
that's a long one.
8 segments. So are they counting that last I guess you can count the last
Yeah.
segment for 1.
Yeah, but it's points, so it doesn't really, I think, doesn't really matter if it's a finish or not. You get your.
If it's FAL, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
FAL.
there's like it's yeah, I think each sprint has equal points, so it doesn't really matter if it's FAL.
But I guess there will be FAL at the first Stoneway sprint, right? That's in that in that lead in essentially. Like technically the lead the route starts, but it's the lead in, yeah.
It says 8 sprints on the sheet, so it's all
Okay.
The 4 sprints in each direction.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing to remember is it's not time through anymore, it's points at. So
yeah, it's quite interesting because these are longer. As I know that they go up if, well, the way you raise it, I think it decreases in length, and when you get back, it increases in length, if I recall correctly.
yes, I think that's right. And then the other thing about it is just that the hilliness of it changes, right? Like a Acropolis sprint on the way out is actually a bit uphill, but on the way back, it's a bit downhill. And it's the opposite. So like Sasquatch is downhill on the way out and then uphill on the way back. And same with Woodland, it's downhill and quite substantially downhill if I remember Woodland right. Like it's like I think it's like 4% downhill leading into the sprint. So time you're trying to get to the line. So time your move at the right point. It's tricky. Stoneway, I think, is relatively flat, maybe a bit uphill on the lead in to it.
If I recall correctly, if on the lead in there's you have a bit of a kicker going into the sprint, and on the way back there's also a kicker, and I think it's in the segment of the sprint, but on both sides there's a bit of a rise for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess there's a little bit of pacing here. I mean, they're pretty well spaced out, so it's not too bad for being one on top of each other, but you may want to consider not contesting fully each sprint depending on your energy level because trying to do all 8 of them, you may find yourself out the back and not with the group.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I haven't done this race in quite a while. I mean, are they going to try to break the pack apart at intermediate points too, or there's too many point segments on this one to?
Yeah, and it also depends how many there were, because I watched Ernst, one of my leather teammates, does these quite regularly, and like when on Wednesday the EU slot was in the D's was just him and one guy, and I don't think also in the C's there were very, very few people. Well, on Swift Power it could be more in game, but from screenshots I think there were only 2 Ds, and I think he broke the rider he was with, and he just rode away with him. So it was basically setting a TT and winning sprint, so it depends how many the riders show up.
Yeah, my experience in Bullseye is there's, especially in races with this many sprints, these ones are a little more spread out, so it might not be so bad, but is that the strong riders are just strong, and so they just keep going. They
They
go
keep
hard in the
going
sprint, and
after
then
the sprint, and
they keep going. And so like if you can't send, 1,000 watts 8 times in an hour, you might just sort of go 700 watts on one of them so that you can
Mhm.
hold the group a little longer instead of trying to send 1,000 watts and then having to like go all the way down to, full recovery at like 100, 150 watts to be able to go, because you'll get dropped and then you'll be out the back. So
Right.
that's just, it's up to each racer how they strategize that, but that is a thing to be cognizant of how long and tired you might get, because yeah, it's got that huge long lead in, right? 8.2 kilometers before you even see a sprint. So downhill through the dirt.
Yeah,
And that,
but I do like you need to like the spaciness between the sprinters. There's usually between I think 3 and 5 kilometers between each sprint. So it's quite was nice I think for last week with HSRL to have that bit of a recovery and regrouping if needed.
yeah, with the difference being in HSRL is you don't want to like being
You
solo
don't
off the
want
front.
that.
Yeah, you might
Yeah,
be no good. You're gonna wait for the group. Bullseye, they
yeah,
won't wait for you.
yeah. They're just gonna if they see a gap there and they can hold it, they think, I'm just gonna TT, so I'll win all the sprints.
Exactly. Exactly. And that is your week in herd racing, which brings us to round the horn. Let's start with the less
The elephant
obvious
in the
topic
room.
for the week. No, let's start with the less obvious one because maybe we'll get
Uh,
that one done faster.
okay.
But let's
Yeah.
talk about update your firmware, Chris. How was your experience with this week?
Oh yeah. So this is my thing. So I've got and Steph, you can lend some commentary on this too, but the play controllers, I think there was a firmware update a couple weeks back, maybe that came out, and I think there was a notification about that. But I also get a really weird on my kicker core, I get a weird like sawtooth power profile. So I know the spin downs are supposed to be automatic now within Zwift. You don't have to go in and do a manual spin down. But I did a spin down through the Wahoo app like a month ago, and it really helped smooth out the power profile. So I went to do that today after I was noticing the same like power fluctuation during my few minutes of warm up. And while I was in the Wahoo app, I noticed there was a update your firmware for your trainer button, which was news to me. There was no push notification that came out. There was no email. I didn't see any release about it. So I updated it. It didn't really help, but I don't know. I think like we all have so many devices that facilitate this indoor cycling experience, and communication might be a little bit shoddy on keeping all these devices up to date technologically. So Um, yeah, I guess maybe a mini PSA is make sure all your stuff is updated in terms of firmware and software updates. Because I know
Yeah,
I
I
was.
was about
I'm not sure how
yeah,
long that was sitting
I was about to say I recall the firmware for the controls, but can't remember if I had like a notification on my companion app. Usually with the Swift updates you get when you open the companion app, there's usually something popping up,
Oh,
Swift
that's what it was.
update.
Yeah. Yeah. On the companion app, there's a little blue banner saying firmware update available for your play
Mhm.
controllers. Yeah. So that was
Okay.
good. And that solved, like, I know, Steph, you've been having some problems too. I was as well, where again, there's like so many different ways for these things to go wrong in terms of connectivity and moisture. Ugh. A lot of ways for these little devices to fail. And I was getting a shifting issue where it would just pin me on one side of the virtual cassette, either gear 10 or gear 24, and wouldn't let me change. Um, I've got a lot less issues now that that's like Zwift has been updated, the Zwift Play firmware is updated, and I've had like 3 incident-free rides, which is good, back to back to back, knock on wood. And I know, Steph, you were having similar shifting issues, right?
Yeah, yeah. At a period that had some in races some serious disconnects that I did a race or a ride the controllers got a pop-up message steering disabled, meaning one of the controllers disabled, and then like a minute later it comes back on. You can ride for a few minutes, then it goes down again. So I had that for a while, but it's been a while. I think in one of the last races I had it 1 or 2 times, but it's less infrequent. I think when I complained about it, somebody said, "Can you maybe you need to check if your firmware is up to date or something like that." It was then, but yeah, maybe it fixed it. But yeah, like every electronic device, it has its issues, but still a great way. I find I almost can't live without the virtual shifting. It's so smooth. So when it works, it's so handy. The even with the buttons, with your power ups or your ride ons, whatever, it's quite nice.
Yeah, I think like DC Rainmaker's review summed it up perfectly, which was I think his words were surprisingly useful.
Mhm.
And that's where I was always like, I don't want another thing that I have to buy and stick on my handlebars. But I think it
And
really,
charge.
yeah, and charge and maintain and troubleshoot when it goes wrong, right? We've all got enough things in our lives to maintain.
Mhm.
It really does, when it works, it increases the Zwift user experience. It makes it that much more seamless and more of like a video game, right? You get little buttons to mess around with and mash and activate things and
Mhm.
drop power up bombs and make things light up on the screen. Like, it's super cool. But yeah, it had been a source of frustration up until recently. It's been fixed in the near term, and I haven't had any issues. And then one thing, like John, we were talking about this on Discord, like the fact that you can leave your physical gearing in the same location and virtually downshift. So you're super tucking and you don't have to come back on the power and like the big
Get
ring,
ready.
tiny cog. Yeah. And you don't have to like stand up and blow your knees out to get back on the power. You can virtually shift into a smaller gear. So when you are
Mhm.
coming back on after super tucking, you're not in an unmanageable gear. Like, that's cool to be able to shift in the background.
And
Yeah,
even
that's
going from like low cadence to a high cadence on Innsbruck, right? I can shift up 5 like in less than a second, shift down 5.
Yeah.
yeah, like that. Yeah, it's indeed like that. You can shift on the fly when you need to like a sprint or a big effort, and you don't have to worry about you're shifting like manually. That maybe you don't work as normal shifting when you don't want to shift while you're pressing power, but here you can just press the power and just shift up or shift down what you
Mhm.
like, and you don't have that
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've got the virtual shifting just on the click, and it is worth it. It's good.
Mhm.
I do notice I use it. It's mainly for me for the shifting and the buttons. I use steering a bit, but I don't use it that maybe should it use it a bit more. But sometimes there are moments it's handy to use it, but to
You
get when
definitely you notice it, because I was having steering issues the same time I was having shifting issues, and you notice it when it goes horribly, horribly wrong. Like, it would, same as it would pin me on one side of the cassette, it would pin me on one side of the road. So
Mhm.
for better or for worse, I was either hung out to dry or just taking the long way around. It's nice to be able to control your own destiny, I guess, within the barriers and the bumpers that Zwift gives you. Um,
Yeah.
it is nice rather than being just hung out to dry there with no draft.
Although I found it a bit strange, I did, I think on Tuesday, I did one of the Z Racing ones, which was an SD course, the Queens Highway after party. But I noticed when you basically did like 5.5 laps or 6 laps of Queens Highway, and then up Yorkshire KOM. But I was on that final stretch, and I was behind a guy who were all the way to the right side, to the middle of the road. So I think, technically I was in a draft, but I wanted to shift switch more to the left. But sometimes, even though I had the controls, it wouldn't let me. So there was a weird bug, and I had it one time. At one moment, and it was a strange one when we did one of our ladder races mid-race. It didn't disable the shifting, but I was like in, I don't know, gear 14, and it just decreased it to gear 1, which is basically your granny gear, and it wouldn't move. I couldn't move it up. I tried to move it up, but it went back to 1,
Yep.
and it was that for like half a minute. So lost contact with the group. Luckily, I was able to reach back up again. But yeah, there was a weird thing. But it only happened once.
I know that story. Yep.
You didn't just go 140 RPM and stick right in there?
Could have tried it, but gear one, that's very low. That's your granny climbing gear. That's then you indeed are spinning like, if you probably want to keep up the power, you're spinning like 140 RPM probably. But
Yeah, that's the herd of hamsters you're thinking of.
I was trying to think of a tool or a site that would update this stuff, like that you could monitor or something to know. I don't think anything really exists. I guess maybe follow the brands of your stuff on some social media site, something like that. I would say follow guys like DC Rainmaker or Zwift Insider. They do post when these things, especially if they do something. So like when the February firmware for the Wahoo core went up, for example, Zwift Insider had an article about it because it added virtual shifting and some other features on it too. So, those sorts of resources are good to follow. So they do say some things when these happen. But I can't otherwise, other than sort of periodically checking, say that there's like some 100% reliable tool out there that will always tell you, hey, you need to press a firmware update. I don't think it exists.
yeah, the only thing like Chris said, sometimes you get that notification, that blue bar on your the companion app. There's an update for Swift or firmware. But
And
yeah,
I
other than the shifting was a big issue. But other than that, it's been
When if you would
quite
have logged
smooth.
into if you would have logged into the Wahoo app, you would have got the same thing, right? Like the Zwift app tells you that the click or the controllers need a firmware update because that's Zwift hardware, so they know, so they can
Yeah,
tell you. And I'm pretty sure if you go into like the Wahoo app, it's just that unless you're doing like the world's boringest workouts, sorry, Wahoo, there's no real reason to go into the Wahoo app. Like all it does is track what you're doing, and I don't even know if it records it.
yeah,
It'll just tell you what's coming out of the trainer. So, like,
yeah,
you got to be a bit intentional about it.
Or you
yeah.
just
The other
follow
issue,
social media all the time and just immerse
yeah.
yourself in that, because what else has social media taught us about today?
Well, that's the advantage I found about million herd groups I'm probably now in for everyone. There's at least one of the groups, when there is an update, it get posted in. Somebody posted there, watch that with update. But
Yeah.
yeah, other than that, I think I haven't had it, but I know Steve encountered it in one of our ladder races, that he was in the pen, and I think his brakes were enabled. He couldn't move out of start, and even though he was doing like 6 watts per kilo, his brake prevented him from moving. And I think you had it as well, Chris, and one of our other teams as well, mid race, that it just turned out the brakes at a certain point without maybe touching something or even touching, but I haven't had that issue for a while. But yeah,
That was a fun one. Everything is brakes.
All the buttons.
All the buttons are now brakes.
Yeah, I mean, depending on your setup, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different stuff, right? So, like your trainer, obviously, like Wahoo Elite, if you're on tax or stages, I guess, still technically
Stages has
exists,
their own
right?
one.
Yeah. Your power meter, if you're doing dual recording stuff, could all have firmware updates.
yeah,
Yeah, controllers. You're depending on
Heart
your
rate monitor. I don't
RA
know.
monitor could theoretically have a firmware for sure. I've downloaded firmware updates for my Wahoo ticker, especially because it also does like speed measurement for running. Like
Mhm.
if you like, I use a PC, so I can get like PC updates. I can get updates to my Bluetooth like Bluetooth connector. If you use an
Mhm.
yeah,
iPad, a phone, all those things can
yeah.
get
Like
updates that require
yeah,
that change the way the Bluetooth operates.
and even if it's all updated, the connection issue like Grisat, which doesn't won't connect to heart rate, won't connect, and yeah, for like HSRL, that's a no finish. But yeah, for ladder races, it's basically, if you notice it, you can, the best thing you can do for your for you and for your teammate is just DNF, just quit, because there's a penalty attached to it. It's a minor one. You, if you would do it, you just lose your point, but you get your first strike. And I think if you have it 2 or 3 times, you can get a ban for a couple of for 30 days. So it's can be quite restrictive. So
Don't do that.
yeah, yeah, it's,
So
I know why they do it, but sometimes yeah, you can't control it like Chris said. Sometimes it doesn't connect, and even though you want it to connect, it's not that you want to cheat, but it's just
yeah,
being a piece of software that doesn't connect to whatever to whatever reason. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
sometimes frustrating when you want it to happen, it doesn't happen, and yeah.
I know. I tried everything. I logged out, logged back in. I tried shouting at the equipment. That didn't work either.
Well,
Nothing.
that's surprising.
It did not motivate it. Yeah.
do you
Yeah,
connect yours right straight to your Apple TV, Chris?
No, because it has to run through the Bluetooth bridge now that I have Play controllers because I'm at my maximum number of Bluetooth
Right.
connections. So that's like one extra step it has to take. And sometimes I guess that's one step too many.
Yeah, I know I had something with my click one time, and it was like even I thought it connected, and then I go into the race and it wouldn't go again. I had to like log all the way out as Zwift, all the way back in before it came back up. I'm like, this is preposterous. Anyway, the joys of
yeah,
e-racing. You know what else is a joy of e-racing? I'm doing double duty today.
Wow.
Price increases.
Mhm.
In case you hadn't heard, Zwift will be increasing its prices as of June 6, 2024, according to this DC Rainmaker article I'm reading. Um, yeah, they're about 25%-ish. It looks like some of them maybe a little more.
no, more. I think it's around the 33 for US dollars, and euros, think 38-ish%
Oh wow.
for pounds. It's just five of your equivalent currency, I've noticed. They
Mhm.
just,
Yeah, I was gonna say I
so
thought
so
mine went
so
from 20
the
to
you
25, but maybe it went.
yeah, it went from euros, and US dollars went from 15 to 20. UK went from 12 to 18, or no, from 13 to 18. So that's £5. But yeah, the currency that doesn't work, and it's a higher price increase if you compare it to the original starter. So yeah, and I haven't noticed it. I know it's Canadian dollar. It's like 25-ish now.
Yep.
Australian is up some there. I don't know.
2,400 yen in Japan. So it's practically free. Yeah. So this has in a shocking turn of events, the internet handled it with grace and aplomb. There was a lot of shoulder shrugging. Nobody said anything outrageous or pointless. Oh, wait, that's not what happened? People lost
There
their
were
absolute minds?
there were like 15 million of the same posts in the Zwift riders Facebook group. And then a moderator said, "Well, this is now the topic," and then people were complaining, "Why are replies or comments disabled? Keep disabling this thing." I was thinking,
Yeah.
you guys are posting the same posts over and over again. Why?
Yeah, there was
Just put up
4,000
a
posts
pin.
about the price increase, and there was 4,000 posts about them not letting me post about the price increase.
Yeah.
You guys.
And then 1,000 posts of the people trolling the people were complaining. So yeah, it was a mess.
Yeah, I
Luckily,
eh,
the herd was a bit more civilized. I think in the regular page there were like 3 posts that I've seen, but yeah.
yeah, I definitely, I mean, I think sort of amateur business analyst is like one of the worst versions of podcasts or content anywhere on the internet, but I do find the timing a bit curious. Like
They
I
had a
Yeah.
choice. They had a choice, and they put it June 1 in North America's prime time, right? That
I don't know. I mean, I know how long since they released the annual. That's probably maybe 2, 3 months ago since they put annuals in. Maybe a little more than that.
Wasn't that
I feel like it was
wasn't that
Christmas
I read
time.
something end of last year or something November-ish?
Yeah, that could be.
I
That could
don't
be.
have it, but yeah.
So, I mean, it feels like that would have been maybe a good time to have also done this, but I mean, anyway, that aside, I'm sure that they had 40 guys with spreadsheets who worked it all out exactly how many more people they lose in June versus announcing it in September, October, and how many people come back and how many people forget about it by then. I mean, these guys don't make decisions like this without, well, I'd like to believe they don't. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but they make the timing of these decisions at the time that they deem best for their business. Maybe not convenient for you, but um, so that was interesting. I mean, otherwise, Swift it's basically not had a price increase in 7 years. Did I get that right from the news article?
Yeah, 17, I think read. Yeah.
So probably we were due is a 30+% price increase advisable. I can see why that causes some people on tight budgets and everything else to set their hair on fire a bit.
But yeah,
The
you could say
the moral indignation was, I shouldn't say surprising because nothing's surprising on the internet, but it was very vehement, very like value laden. If you're staying on, you're an idiot. If you're leaving, you're a rational person, or the opposite, right? Everybody had their.
Yeah, people were comparing to like real time, like it's a 5 whatever increase. That's like a cup of coffee, or it's at the end of the day, you want to. It's like every other platform or subscription. Do you found the 15 euros you had, or speaking in my currency now, upgrades to 20 euros? Is that still? Do you still get bang for your buck at the end of the day? It's not a price increase is never good, but if you can rationalize it for yourself, that a price still is valuable, and I think that's at the end of the day, you shouldn't, like people have said, some people don't have a problem with it. Some people, it's might be a tighter issue. The €5 was, and at the end of the day, everybody's gotta decide for themselves. But if it requires 500 posts on the internet, maybe debatable. But yeah, at the end of the day, still
Show of
for
hands,
me,
who's leaving? How many of us are quitting?
Yeah, I think there was a good, I don't know if it was the Herd or somebody posted a survey of like, I'm never going to leave. I'm going to leave at the drop of a hat, or I quit every summer. And it was about 30% each.
Yeah, I mean, I should point out that in terms of timing, I just bought a Wahoo Kicker Core, which came with a 1 year annual subscription, so I literally
Oh.
won't have to pay for this until next April, March, whatever.
Mhm.
So, it's a bit like it's maybe my umbrage would not be the same given the fact that this price increase does not impact me for another uh 11 months or whatever. So, I mean, sure. I mean, so I'm not going anywhere for at least 11 months. I'm all paid up.
Mhm.
So,
Well, and I look at that way. I was using a trainer, professional trainer, to prepare me for an event, but things changed, so I decided last weekend to stop with the trainer, and that was 160 euros per month. So that's that car. That's that's that money free again. So yeah, is what
yeah.
it is. And yeah, and yeah, people say the yeah, people are comparing it have has the recent whatever the recent updates
Yeah, and
justified it or whatever. But I think yeah, there's also the terms of the indexing or the thing as so 15 euros. What was 15 euros 7 years back can be tighter to that 20 euros now. That thing they're still doing. They released a new. Okay, it wasn't that big. Like the 20 kilometers new roads in the south coast. They're doing some nice plans to reorganize the huts that I seen on Zwift Insider that looked appealing. They just announced right after the price increase that they're introducing new roads with a new FTP-ish a climb that can detect FTP. So up the third side of the Epic K1, it seemed to be. So yeah.
I did learn a lot
Um,
about what other similar health related services cost through all of
yeah,
this back and
yeah,
forth about like how much Peloton is, how much a spin class costs you. I didn't realize like 24-hour fitness in the US is a very affordable membership. It's like some people were saying it was like $15 or something a month, which I'd never looked into, but I, I think that's what it comes down to for me at the end of the day is, do you get value out of it? And is it better value than the alternatives, both, monetarily, and then just what are you getting out of it? I tend to buy my gym membership in the summer because they have a cheap deal on, and we can avoid the wildfire smoke and all that. So, and then in the rest of the year, I like, nah, I don't really want to do that. So, uh, my Zwift is my year-round steady state. I know I can throw on a pair of bibs and jump on the trainer whenever I want, and that's a huge value for me.
yeah. I'm thinking about because I'm doing like monthly now subscription. Maybe I should switch to annually. I was thinking, well, maybe I will pause it, but been using it for over a year now, and I'm doing even now in the summer doing a couple of races per week. So yeah. Or if it's like I don't know a rainy day or whatever, or doesn't come out for work, you can go on the bike for an hour or whatever and do something. So and I compare it to like I have a next Netflix account that's going that has gone up a couple of times, and it's going up here locally in Belgium again. And there were periods that I've just have it every month, just going off my credit card, and in some periods I use it quite a lot, and some there were moments of time that I haven't used it in 3 months, but I paid like 15 euros for nothing. But yeah, So that's accessibility, I think.
Well, in terms of other like indicators about these types of things, I'll note that the video game space has had massive layoffs. Massive
Yeah.
layoffs. Like Microsoft just
Yeah,
laid off something like 600 video game employees from and like literally shuttered 2 studios. So
yeah,
like
yeah,
these things are
yeah,
um you know your other alternative is that Zwift starts, I mean they already did theirs. How long were those layoffs? Like maybe 8 months ago? I remember.
yeah. They did a couple of layers, but yeah, it's like you said.
So
Uh,
like it's not like, I mean, listen, I'm sure that in a perfect world, the people who run Zwift would like to charge nothing. They'd be able to pay all their employees like a 25% above market rate, and they'd all make all their shareholders rich. But in the reality of the real world, people have to
Hmm.
pay for things and they've got to try and find the right balance. And whatever, I know people get on about the competence and the rest or whatever of Zwift. I have yet to see any particularly large evidence that they are like inherently evil people that are trying to like capitalize on people. At the end of the day, the product they provide is for people to ride indoor bike racing, right? This isn't like they're trying to sell you diabetes medication or
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know, bullets or something.
yeah,
So, I suspect that they they're making their best good faith effort to estimate the number of people who use the service that they can continue to pay the people who do the work to keep the platform running and expand it and operate it at and generate fair returns to their investors. Don't all leave and cash out and the whole thing crashes. So I don't
yeah,
think there's much strong evidence to the contrary yet.
yeah. And there are a couple of competitors that people are switching on that maybe are free or are at that like the old price that's switching, but like people said, my watch is free now. If it will stay free, they have the backup with of the UAE. But if it will remain the same, if they get an increase in people, that's debatable. Because even though there's funds from rich princes in the Middle East, I don't think like any company you have like you said, Brand, they will have employees to pay their thing. So if they can see that they can get something of a subscription. Like for instance, people are comparing to played WoW quite a bit up till about a year ago. Yeah, people are saying, well, that's only like that was 15 euros. So you're saying me have to pay like now five €5 more or $5 more than a video game. That's way more. But yeah, then you come to the argument that well, the subscriptions in WoW are a huge chunk, but they earn like a buttload of money with other microtransactions and server transfers and everything else and store mounts and yeah, you can compare it. Swift just had a subscription and maybe some like hardware like the Swift controller.
Well, and
So,
other,
but
yeah, I was gonna say, and other than the fact that like maybe there's some people doing some bots or something to cheat and rack up XP or something in World of Warcraft, like the implements are like a mouse and a keyboard, not
yeah,
400 different variants of power meters and trainers and everything else that they're trying to balance. I mean, I understand that probably only what 25 or 30% of Zwift use the competitive end of things, and the rest is just on there for fun. But for those
yeah,
25 or 30%, it's got to be fair that they're trying to manage all that too. So.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, it's not great. I mean, obviously we'd all like everything to be different, but um yeah. Um we're glad everybody's here. We're glad everybody's the Pink Tron will remain free
At
until
least
you
till
hear
June
differently.
6th.
At least until June 6th. So so you can enjoy this and it hasn't gone up one nickel and it's just getting cheaper every day, everybody.
You get what you pay for right there.
And you get what you pay for to boot. So I think maybe on that note, we will say thank you to Chris Greenland. Thank you to Steph Etchen. Thank you to John Keenan. thank you to everyone out there listening. Enjoy your races this weekend, everybody. Moo and good night.
Good races.
Good night.
Good night.